What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 1 Hour Reviews, the series where I play a game for an hour, give you some raw gameplay, tell you pros and cons, and honestly, if it's complete and utter garbage, or if you should play it. Today's episode is all about Curved Space. It's a game where you battle space invading spiders all over a bunch of different curved landscapes. Now, to really get you in the mindset on this game, I need to take you back about 2 years. The year is 2020. We're in the midst of a global... YouTube doesn't like the word pandemic, but I'm gonna say it anyway, a global pandemic. We're all sitting at home trying not to get sick on our third run through of all the Harry Potter movies. And then we decide, hey, you know what? I'm looking to buy a new game. I need something to take my mind off of all this pandemic stuff going on. And you know, it's nice to escape into a different world for a little while. So what do? You grab your 2-liter Mountain Dew, your family-sized bag of Cheetos, and you aimlessly scroll through the PlayStation Store, going through all those old indie titles like The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima and the Final Fantasy VII Remake, until you come across this amazing game, Curved Space. You read the bio, you're all amped, you're thinking to yourself, oh man, an old arcade type shooter? Count me in. So you purchase it, you're sitting there waiting for it to install, you finish half your bag of Cheetos, finally you get the notification, it pops up, says it's all finished installing. You boot it up, and you get this amazing soundtrack, and you are just amped to start killing these intergalactic spiders. You start playing, and you probably only have one question. Why did I buy this game? Okay, maybe not that specific question, but I know when I started playing it, that's how I was feeling. What you're seeing now is the first level right after the tutorial mission. You can see I'm picking up a few different weapons. What's truly interesting is that all the weapons that you find, you have to pick up off the ground that come from spiders that you've killed. So they run as about little discs. You just go up to them, interact with them, and it changes your alpha or bravo weapon. And each weapon is actually pretty cool in the sense that they have their own abilities. You have a sniper, shotgun, plasma ones, you have a javelin that arches over the landscape and can hit other things. It's pretty interesting. But then you get hit with this random objective, killing only radiant spiders. On top of that, you have ones that say only kill spiky spiders or only kill rollies, which are kind of like the roly-poly insects everybody used to play with as a kid. And then you get ones like destroy 5 hoppers, and this kind of just brings the game down. There's nothing really interesting about it. There's not even really like a background on what these spiders are and why they are. I think a game like this would benefit from having maybe a little bit more lore behind it. But I get it. It's an arcade type game. There's not going to be much to it except, hey, let's just go kill these spiders. But a lot of them just aren't dangerous enough to the point where you feel like there's something at stake. Honestly, on top of having maybe lore on these spiders, maybe just have like an index on the spiders that you can go to the start screen, look at every spider, see what their abilities are, what kind of weapons they're weak to, and you can go from there. I mean, just seeing maybe like the shot patterns would be enough, but you kind of just have to see where their shots are coming from and just try to avoid them. And that's kind of a problem when you have the camera directly behind your ship at all times. You can't see what's behind you, and there's no indicator to tell you that there is a shot coming behind you. One of the cooler features from this game is the actual idea of lashing a spider. So what you can do is lash a spider to another spider or lash a spider to one of the probes that are around the map. And essentially what that does is it drains the spider. And there's a bar in the top left of your screen that shows an overdrive bar. And when you activate that, it gets your weapons to be more powerful. Sometimes they have an alternate type of fire. And that's pretty much the reason to do it. You can also lash a spider and dash into it and it'll immediately kill it, giving you health or maybe a different weapon. About 3 missions in is where things start to get a little bit interesting. You have a different sort of landscape. Instead of like the cyber kind of looking areas, you're actually on an actual asteroid. And as cool as this is, it's so disorienting to work with. I mean, the movement had me super confused, hard to understand. The camera, it's too locked, like too high locked to the point where you can't really see what's in front of you. I was constantly pushing my right analog stick up so I could see more of what was in front of me. But you can see here, like when there's more spiders and there's actually like more enemies around to have to deal with, This is when I feel like the game is at its peak, because when you're just fighting a spider here and there, you get these dumb objectives. You don't really feel like you're doing anything cool or fun. You're just kind of running through the motions. But with everything shooting at you and all these spiders going absolutely crazy, my health actually got down quite a bit, and I was actually kind of scared I was gonna die. Now, hands down, the best part of this game are the boss fights. Whereas I felt like I was gonna die on the asteroid,
I can't lash the boss.
this is a lot bigger, grander of a scene. So these bosses each have different abilities. I ran through about 3 bosses in my hour playthrough. The first one here, you couldn't shoot him. You actually had to lash him to another spider or lash him to the probes to get him to come down to the ground so you could actually hit him with your weapons, unless you had a javelin weapon in which it arcs into the sky and you could actually hit it that way. But it took me a little while to figure this out, and I was kind of nervous, it being a boss and all, that I actually would have died, but I took him down fairly easy. He wasn't too much of a challenge. But it got me thinking, if this is just the first boss in the first mission, the bosses are going to get exponentially better. And that happened when I actually went up against the second boss in the next area. He was like a giant rolly, and he was like non-stop action. He was coming after me. I was actually pretty scared. I didn't want to get hit by him. He has a laser that could bounce off the walls everywhere and hit you. His actual shots are also very sporadic. I will give credit where it's due. This game and their bosses, you can't memorize a pattern. There's no pattern here. It's all just kind of you against them on this whatever landscape you're on. And every once in a while the game will throw you a bone where you'll have a few spiders come out, you can kill them and get some health back or get a different weapon. But these boss fights are very much one-on-one, and if you don't have the health going into it, then it's possible that you'll probably end up dying. The third boss though, and where I really started to get deterred, he was kind of lame. I mean, it was just like a giant ball. They didn't really hurt me much. I died once to it, but that was my own fault because I ran into actually one of the projectiles. But the shots, like, they weren't really coming after me that much, and he kind of just kept trying to get away from me. And it got me thinking that although every boss is unique and cool in its own way, none of them are actually going to get exponentially harder. I think the game is just at a base level, and if you're good at the game, you're good at the game. If you're not, you're not, and that's pretty much it. And once you defeat a boss, he'll drop about 4 or 5 different discs, and they give you different power-ups. So some will be speed boosts, some will be more weapon damage, some will be better overdrive skills to unleash that alternate fire rate, or fire power in a sense. And you can decide which to pick up after every fight. So the first fight I went with a speed boost, second fight I went for a damage boost. And I think these are pretty much just going to allow you to keep getting better as the enemies stay about the same. So you think that it's easy in the beginning, you think you're just cruising through spiders. It only got easier as the time went on. The only way that the game can make it to the point where these power-ups really mean something is if, as you are getting better, so are the spiders. And that way, your buffs actually mean something. In closing, is Curve Space a great game? I don't think so. But is it a bad game? I also don't think that either. I think it just sits right in the middle of it just being a game that you could waste some time on, especially if you really enjoy the arcade type games where there's just you and a bunch of different enemies in one area and you just need to take them all down. I think the developers really thought they were onto something. It's like they took the movement from a game like Super Mario Galaxy and the actual enemies and gameplay of our Marines Project Swarm, and they threw them together and they thought to themselves, man, we're really onto something. But they weren't. They really weren't. There isn't really much that Curve Space offers other than what I've shown you. I mean, you got the boss fights, you have the abilities that don't really mean much, and a lot of the mechanics are great, I guess, but at the end of the day, it just feels like a very empty arcade shooter. Now, next week, we're going to be reviewing We Happy Few. I've been really excited to play this. I'm excited to throw an hour into the game and see where it takes me. So if you're looking forward to seeing that, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell if you want notifications of when I post. And if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If there's any games you want to see me review or go over, leave them in the comments and I'll be sure to go over them if I have them. If not, well, I guess I could always go get them. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. I hope all of you have an amazing day. Thank you for hanging out with me during this video, and I hope all of you have an amazing 4th of July weekend. See ya.